June 4th, letter to Dr. Strauss. Dear Dr. Strauss, under separate cover I am sending you a copy of my report entitled The Algernon-Gordon Effect, a study of structure and function of increased intelligence, which I would like to have you read and have published. As you see, my experiments are completed. I have included in my report all of my formulae, as well as mathematical analyses, in the appendix. Of course, these should be verified. Because of its importance to both you and Dr. Niemer, and need I say, to myself too, I have checked and rechecked my results a dozen times in the hope of finding an error. I am sorry to say the results must stand. Yet for the sake of science, I am grateful for the little bit that I here add to the knowledge of the human mind and the laws governing the artificial increase of human intelligence. I recall your once saying to me that an experimental failure or the disproving of a theory was as important to the advancement of learning as a success would be. I know now that this is true. I'm sorry, however, that my own contribution to the field must rest upon the ashes of the work of two men I regard so highly. Yours truly, Charles Gordon. June 5th. I must not become emotional. The facts and the results of my experiments are clear, and the more sensational aspects of my own rapid climb cannot obscure the fact that the tripling of intelligence by the surgical technique developed by Drs. Strauss and Niemer must be viewed as having little or no practical applicability at the present time to the increase of human intelligence. As I review the records and data on Algernon, I see that although he is still in his physical infancy, he has regressed mentally. Motor activity is impaired. There is a general reduction of glandular activity. There is an accelerated loss of coordination. There are also strong indications of progressive amnesia. As will be seen by my report, these and other physical and mental deterioration syndromes can be predicted with statistically significant results by the application of my formula. The surgical stimulus to which we were both subjected has resulted in an intensification and acceleration of all mental processes. The unforeseen development, which I have taken the liberty of calling the Algernon-Gordon effect, is the logical extension of the entire intelligence speed-up. The hypothesis here proven may be described simply in the following terms. Artificially increased intelligence deteriorates at a rate of time directly proportional to the quantity of the increase. I feel that this in itself is an important discovery. As long as I'm able to write, I will continue to record my thoughts in these progress reports. It's one of my few pleasures. However, by all indications, my own mental deterioration will be very rapid. I have already begun to notice signs of emotional instability and forgetfulness, the first symptoms of the burnout. June 10th. Deterioration progressing. I've become absent-minded. Algernon died 2 days ago. Dissection shows my predictions were right. His brain had decreased in weight, and there was a general smoothing out of cerebral convolutions, as well as a deepening and broadening of brain fissures. I guess the same thing is, or will soon be happening to me. Now that it's definite, I don't want it to happen. I put Algernon's body in a cheese box and buried him in the backyard. I cried. June 15th. Dr. Strauss came to see me again. I wouldn't open the door, and I told him to go away. I want to be left to myself. I've become touchy and irritable. I feel the darkness closing in. It's hard to throw off thoughts of suicide. I keep telling myself how important this introspective journal will be. It's a strange sensation to pick up a book that you've read and enjoyed just a few months ago and discover that you don't remember it. I remembered how great I thought John Milton was, but when I picked up Paradise Lost, I couldn't understand it at all. I got so angry I threw the book across the room. I've got to try to hold on to some part of it, some of the things I've learned. Oh God, please don't take it all away. June 19th. Sometimes at night I go out for a walk. Last night I couldn't remember where I lived. A policeman took me home. I have the strange feeling that all this has happened to me before, a long time ago. I keep telling myself I'm the only person in the world who can describe what's happening to me. June 21st. Why can't I remember? I've got to fight. I lie in bed for days and I don't know who or where I am. Then it all comes back to me in a flash. Fugues of amnesia, symptoms of senility, second childhood. I can watch them coming on. It's so cruelly logical. I learned so much and so fast. Now my mind is deteriorating rapidly. I won't let it happen. I'll fight it. I can't help thinking of the boy in the restaurant, the blank expression, the silly smile, the people laughing at him. No. Please, not not that again. June 22. I'm forgetting things that I learned recently. Seems to be following the classic pattern, the last things learned are the first things forgotten. Or is that the pattern? I'd better look it up again. I reread my paper on the Algernon effect, and I get the strange feeling that it was written by someone else. There are parts I don't even understand. Motor activity impaired. I keep tripping over things, and it becomes increasingly difficult to type. June 23rd. I've given up using the typewriter completely. My coordination is bad. I feel that I'm moving slower and slower. Had a terrible shock today. I picked up a copy of an article I used in my research, Kruger's Überpsychische Ganzheit, to see if it would help me understand what I had done. First I thought there was something wrong with my eyes. And then I realized I can no longer read German. I tested myself in other languages. All gone. June 30th. A week since I dared to write again. It's slipping away like sand through my fingers. Most of the books I have are too hard for me now. I get angry with them because I know that I read and understood them just a few weeks ago. I keep telling myself I must keep writing these reports so that somebody will know what is happening to me. But it gets harder to form the words and remember spellings. I have to look up even simple words in the dictionary now, and it makes me impatient with myself. Dr. Strauss comes around almost every day, but I told him I wouldn't see or speak to anybody. He feels guilty. They all do, but I don't blame anyone. I knew what might happen. But how it hurts. July 7th. I don't know where the week went. Today's Sunday, I know, because I can see through my window people going to church. I think I stayed in bed all week, but I remember Mrs. Flynn bringing me food a few times. I keep saying over and over, I've got to do something, but then I forget, and maybe it's just easier not to do what I say I'm going to do. I think of my mother and father a lot these days. I found a picture of them with me, taken at a beach. My father has a big ball under his arm, and my mother is holding me by the hand. I don't remember them the way they are in the picture. All I remember is my father drunk most of the time and arguing with Mom about money. He never shaved much, and he used to scratch my face when he hugged me. My mother said he died, but Cousin Milty said he heard his mom and dad say that my father ran away with another woman. When I asked my mother, she slapped my face and said my father was dead. I don't think I ever found out which was true, but I don't care much. He said he was going to take me to see cows on a farm once, but he never did. He never kept his promises. July 10th. My landlady, Mrs. Flynn, is very worried about me. She says the way I lay around all day and don't do anything, I remind her of her son before she threw him out of the house. She says she doesn't like loafers. If I'm sick, it's one thing, but if I'm a loafer, that's another thing, and she won't have it. I told her I think I'm sick. I try to read a little bit every day, mostly stories, but sometimes I have to read the same thing over and over again because I don't know what it means. And it's hard to write. I know I should look up all the words in the dictionary, but it's so hard and I'm so tired all the time. Then I got the idea that I would only use the easy words instead of the long, hard ones. That saves time. I put flowers on Algernon's grave about once a week. Mrs. Flynn thinks I'm crazy to put flowers on a mouse's grave, but I told her that Algernon was special. July 14th. It's Sunday again. I don't have anything to do to keep me busy now because my television set's broke and I don't have any money to get it fixed. I think I lost this month's check from the lab. I don't remember. I get awful headaches and aspirin doesn't help me much. Mrs. Flynn knows I'm really sick and she feels very sorry for me. She's a wonderful woman whenever someone's sick. July 22nd. Mrs. Flynn called a strange doctor to see me. She was afraid I was going to die. I told the doctor I wasn't too sick and that I only forget sometimes. He asked me did I have any friends or relatives, and I said no, I don't have any. I told him I had a friend called Algernon once, but he was a mouse and we used to run races together. He looked at me kind of funny like he thought I was crazy. He smiled when I told him I used to be a genius. He talked to me like I was a baby and he winked at Mrs. Flynn. I got mad and chased him out because he was making fun of me the way they all used to. July 24th. I have no more money, and Mrs. Flynn says I gotta go to work somewhere and pay the rent because I haven't paid for over 2 months. I don't know any work but the job I used to have at Donegan's Plastic Box Company. I don't want to go back there because they all knew me when I was smart and maybe they'll laugh at me. But I don't know what else to do to get money. July 25th. I was looking at some of my old progress reports and it's very funny, but I can't read what I wrote. I can make out some of the words, but they don't make sense. Miss Kinnian came to the door, but I said, "Go away, I don't want to see you." She cried, and I cried too, but I wouldn't let her in because I didn't want her to laugh at me. I told her I didn't like her anymore. I told her I didn't want to be smart anymore. That's not true. I still love her, and I still want to be smart, but I had to say that so she'd go away. She gave Mrs. Flynn money to pay the rent. I don't want that. I gotta get a job. Please, please let me not forget how to read and write. July 27th. Mr. Donegan was very nice when I came back and asked for my old job of janitor. First he was very suspicious, but I told him what happened to me. Then he looked very sad and put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Charlie Gordon, you got guts." Everybody looked at me when I came downstairs and started working in the toilet, sweeping it out like I used to. I told myself, "Charlie, if they make fun of you, don't get sore, because you remember they're not so smart as you once thought they were. And besides, they were once your friends. And if they laughed at you, that doesn't mean anything because they liked you too." One of the new men who came to work there after I went away made a nasty crack. He said, "Hey, Charlie, I hear you're a very smart fella, a real quiz kid. Say something intelligent." I felt bad, but Joe Carp came over and grabbed him by the shirt and said, "Leave him alone, you lousy cracker, or I'll break your neck." I didn't expect Joe to take my part, so I guess he's really my friend. Later, Frank Riley came over and said, "Charlie, if anybody bothers you or tries to take advantage of you, call me or Joe, and we'll set 'em straight." I said, "Thanks, Frank," and I got choked up, so I had to turn around and go into the supply room so he wouldn't see me cry. It's good to have friends. July 28th. I did a dumb thing today. I forgot I wasn't in Miss Kinnian's class at the Adult Center anymore like I used to be. I went in and sat down in my old seat in the back of the room, and she looked at me funny, and she said, "Charles." I didn't remember she ever called me that before, only Charlie, so I said, "Hello, Miss Kinnian. I'm ready for my lesson today." Only I lost my reader that we was using. She started to cry and ran out of the room, and everybody looked at me, and I saw they wasn't the same people who used to be in my class. Then all of a sudden I remembered some things about the operation and me getting smart, and I said, "Holy smoke, I really pulled a Charlie Gordon that time." I went away before she came back to the room. And that's why I'm going away from New York for good. I don't want to do nothing like that again. I don't want Miss Kinnian to feel sorry for me. Everybody feels sorry at the factory, and I don't want that either, so I'm going someplace where nobody knows that Charlie Gordon was once a genius, and now he can't even read a book or write good. I'm taking a couple books along, and even if I can't read them, I'll practice hard, and maybe I won't forget everything I learned. If I try real hard, maybe I'll be a little smarter than I was before the operation. I got my rabbit's foot and my lucky penny, and maybe they'll help me. If you ever read this, Miss Kinnian, don't be sorry for me. I'm glad I got a second chance to be smart because I learned a lot of things I never even knew were in this world, and I'm grateful that I saw it all for a little bit. I don't know why I'm dumb again or what I did wrong. Maybe it's because I didn't try hard enough. But if I try and practice very hard, maybe I'll get a little smarter and know what all the words are. I remember a little bit how nice I had a feeling with the blue book that has the torn cover when I read it. That's why I'm going to keep trying to get smart so I can have that feeling again. It's a good feeling to know things and be smart. I wish I had it right now. If I did, I would sit down and read all the time. Anyway, I bet I'm the first dumb person in the world who ever found out something important for science. I remember I did something, but I don't remember what. So I guess it's like I did it for all the dumb people like me. Goodbye, Miss Kinnian, and Dr. Strauss, and everybody. And P.S., please tell Dr. Niemer not to be such a grouch when people laugh at him, and he would have more friends. It's easy to make friends if you let people laugh at you. I'm going to have lots of friends where I go. P.P.S. Please, if you get a chance, put some flowers on Algernon's grave in the backyard.